I spent years telling people that brand was the most important decision when buying a new HVAC system. I believed it, I repeated it, and I was wrong. Not completely wrong, brand does matter some, but I had the whole thing backwards. And it cost more than a few folks I know a lot of money and grief before I figured out what was actually going on. Here is what I have come to understand after watching this play out over and over again. The Carrier versus Trane debate, which is one of the most searched questions in home comfort, is mostly the wrong debate. You are asking which badge goes on the box when you should be asking something entirely different. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what that question is. You will understand what the real differences between these two brands are and what the salespeople quietly gloss over, and you will walk into any dealer or contractor meeting knowing more than the person trying to sell you a system. That is the goal here. If you want to go deeper on any of this, there is an ebook in the description below that walks through the full decision process, including a checklist you can bring to contractor bids. It is right there under the video. Now let us get into it. Both Carrier and Trane are genuinely good companies with genuinely long histories. Carrier essentially invented modern air conditioning. Willis Carrier developed the first practical system in the early 1900s, and the company has been refining that work ever since. Trane has been around since the late 1800s, originally building steam and hot water heating equipment, before becoming one of the dominant names in central air. These are not fly-by-night operations. They are not selling you a name with nothing behind it. Both have real engineering depth, real manufacturing capacity, and real track records going back generations. That matters. When someone online tells you one of these brands is junk, they are almost certainly wrong. Or they had a single bad experience and generalize from it. But here is where most of the advice you will find goes wrong. People treat this like a Ford versus Chevy argument, as if the same quality comes out of every vehicle with that badge on the front. With HVAC, that is not how it works. And understanding why will save you from overpaying or underbuying. Both Carrier and Trane sell equipment across a wide range of tiers. At the entry level, you get a basic single-stage unit. These run at one speed, full blast or off. They do the job, they cost less up front, and they wear out at a fairly predictable rate. In the mid-tier, you get two-stage equipment, which can run at a lower capacity on milder days, saving energy and handling humidity better. At the top of the line, both companies offer variable speed or inverter-driven systems, which modulate continuously and are genuinely impressive machines. Quieter, more efficient, better at holding a steady temperature. The point is this: a top-tier Carrier and a bottom-tier Trane are not the same thing. Neither are a bottom-tier Carrier and a top-tier Trane. When someone tells you one brand is more reliable than the other, the first question to ask is, at what tier? Because comparing an entry level from one company to a premium unit from the other tells you almost nothing useful. Now let us talk about reliability, because this is where the myth-making really takes hold. There are industry surveys done every year that ask homeowners and contractors to rate the equipment they work with. Carrier and Trane both consistently land near the top. The gap between them, in most surveys I'm aware of, is narrow enough that it falls within the margin of normal variation. In other words, if you picked either brand at the same tier, your expected reliability over a 10 to 15 year lifespan is going to be very close to the same. The catastrophic failure stories you read in the comment sections, and I have read a lot of them, almost always involve one of three things: a bad installation, a missed maintenance step, or genuinely bad luck with a specific unit. Those happen with every brand. I will be honest with you about something that took me a while to fully accept. The single biggest factor in how long your HVAC system lasts and how well it performs is not the brand. It is the quality of the installation. Anywhere from a third to half of all residential HVAC problems trace back to installation errors, improper refrigerant charge, ductwork that was never sized correctly, poor airflow, a system that was oversized for the house because the contractor wanted to sell you more equipment. These problems show up in the first few years and they compound over time. A brilliantly engineered Trane unit installed sloppily will underperform a basic Carrier unit installed with care and precision every single time. That is not opinion. That is just physics. So when I say the brand debate is partly the wrong debate, this is what I mean. If you spend your energy comparing Carrier and Trane and zero energy vetting the contractor who is going to put it in, you have got your priorities upside down. What makes a good installation? A few things you can actually check on. First, the contractor should do a load calculation, sometimes called a manual J, before recommending any equipment size. This is a room-by-room assessment of how much heating and cooling your home actually needs, based on square footage, insulation levels, window placement, and your local climate. If a contractor shows up, glances around, and tells you what size unit you need without running those numbers, that is a red flag. Second, ask whether they are going to check and adjust refrigerant charge after installation. Third, ask whether they will inspect or test the ductwork. These are not exotic requests. They are standard practice for a careful contractor. Now here is something the dealer networks really do not advertise. Both Carrier and Trane sell through networks of authorized dealers, and the quality of those dealers varies significantly. A Carrier dealer in one city might be meticulous, well-trained and honest about what your house actually needs. A Carrier dealer in another city might push the highest margin equipment and cut corners on installation. The same is true for Trane. The brand authorizes them, but the brand does not install the unit in your house. That is a different human being on a different crew, making judgment calls in your attic on a hot afternoon. This is why I always tell folks to get at least 3 bids, not to find the cheapest price, but to compare what each contractor is actually recommending and why. If one contractor recommends a 5-ton system and another recommends 3.5 tons for the same house, someone is wrong. The load calculation will tell you who. Ask to see it. Let us talk about efficiency ratings, because this is another area where the numbers get used in ways that do not always serve you well. SEER, Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio, measures how efficiently an air conditioner uses electricity over a cooling season. Both Carrier and Trane make equipment across a broad SEER range, and both have high efficiency options at the top end. The general rule holds: higher SEER costs more upfront and less to operate over time. But here's the part that gets quietly skipped in the sales pitch. The efficiency gains at the very top of the SEER range follow a curve of diminishing returns. Going from a 14 SEER unit to a 16 SEER unit represents a meaningful improvement in operating cost. Going from a 20 SEER unit to a 24 SEER unit represents a much smaller improvement, spread over a much longer payback period. For a lot of homeowners, especially those in milder climates, or those who do not run their systems heavily, the highest tier units may never pay back the premium in energy savings over a reasonable ownership period. That math is worth running with your actual utility rates before you commit. This is where the guide in the description below can help. It walks through the efficiency calculation step by step so you can run the numbers for your own situation and your own climate without needing to trust a salesperson's math. One thing Carrier and Trane both push hard in their premium lines is smart home integration and communicating systems. Thermostats and equipment that talk to each other and can be monitored remotely. Both companies have put real development into this. Carrier has their Infinity system. Trane has their ComfortLink platform. These are genuinely functional and can add a layer of control and diagnostic visibility that older systems did not have. My honest take on this: if you are comfortable with technology and you want that level of control, either platform works well. If you are not particularly interested in managing your home comfort through an app, the performance difference in basic heating and cooling between a communicating system and a well-installed conventional system is not dramatic enough to justify the added complexity for everyone. Know yourself. If a feature is going to sit unused, it is not an upgrade. It is just something extra to break. If you are in the Ask Big Jim community and you have a question about your specific situation, this is a good time to mention that we answer questions there regularly. Subscribe if you have not, and join the conversation. It is one of the better uses of 5 seconds I can recommend. Now let us get to price, because for most folks, this is real, and it matters. At similar tiers, Carrier and Trane equipment tends to be priced fairly close to each other. You might find Carrier running a bit lower in some markets, Trane running a bit lower in others, depending on local dealer competition and what regional promotions are running. Neither is dramatically cheaper than the other across the board. The price difference you are more likely to see is between tiers within a brand than between brands at the same tier. A basic single-stage system from either brand, installed, might run somewhere in the range of $4,000 to $6,000, depending on your area, home size, and the specifics of the job. A mid-tier 2-stage system will typically run higher, and a top-tier variable speed system with all the features can push significantly above that. These are rough ranges. Your actual bids will depend on factors specific to your home and market, but they give you a baseline for whether the numbers you are being quoted are in a reasonable neighborhood. Warranties are worth a close look before you sign anything. Both Carrier and Trane offer parts warranties that are competitive in the industry, typically 10 years on major components when registered within a required window after installation. Pay attention to that registration requirement. Some folks lose the extended warranty simply because they never registered the unit within the required period. Ask your contractor whether they handle registration or whether you need to do it yourself. Also, understand what the warranty actually covers. Parts are usually included, but labor often is not. That distinction matters when something goes wrong 3 years in, and the technician's time costs as much as the part. So when all of this is laid out plainly, how do you actually decide between these two brands? Here is the framework I have landed on after watching this decision play out many times. First, identify the best contractor in your area, not the cheapest and not the one with the biggest marketing budget. The one with a reputation for careful installations, honest sizing, and standing behind their work. Ask neighbors. Ask in local community groups. Check reviews with skepticism, but look for patterns. That contractor decision is more important than the brand decision. Second, ask that contractor which brand they work with more regularly and why. A contractor who predominantly installs Trane and has deep familiarity with that equipment is probably going to install it better than someone who installs it occasionally. The inverse is true for Carrier. Familiarity with a specific line of equipment matters for installation quality and for service down the road. Third, Compare the same tier across both brands, not entry Carrier against premium Trane, but apples to apples. Ask for the efficiency rating, the warranty terms, and the projected operating cost at your usage level. Fourth, ask whether parts availability and service are strong in your region for whichever brand you choose. This matters if you ever need a repair outside business hours or in a pinch. Some areas have deep Carrier dealer networks. Others have stronger Trane coverage. Fifth, trust your gut on the contractor. If they are pushing you toward a size or tier that seems wrong, or if they resist showing you a load calculation, walk away and take your next bid. The guide in the description has a contractor vetting checklist and a comparison worksheet that makes this whole process easier to manage when you are sitting across from someone trying to close a sale. It is worth having in hand before those conversations start. Here is where I want to land before we wrap up. There is genuinely not much money in telling you that both of these brands are good, that the installer matters more than the badge, and that the best move is to slow down, get 3 bids, and ask the right questions. That is not a story that sells anything, but it is the true story, and it is the one you deserve to hear. The Carrier versus Trane argument will keep going online because it is an easy argument to have. Folks pick a side, defend it, and cite their one personal experience. The reality is quieter and less exciting. Both are proven brands. Both make equipment at multiple quality levels. Both depend heavily on installation quality. And the right choice for you depends mostly on who in your area installs which brand with the most care and experience. This week, if you are in the middle of this decision, slow down. Do not let a contractor rush you toward a signature. Get that second and third bid. Ask about the load calculation. Ask about warranty registration. Ask which brand they install more often and why. This month, if you are just beginning to think about replacing an aging system, start building your short list of contractors the same way you would choose a doctor or a mechanic, on reputation, on track record, on the recommendation of people whose judgment you trust. You came into this video wondering which brand was better. You are leaving it knowing that the better question is who is putting it in and how. That shift in thinking is worth more than anything a salesperson is going to tell you. If you have been through this decision already, whether it went well or went sideways, leave a note in the comments. I read them, and your experience helps other folks who are right in the middle of this right now. What did you end up going with? And what do you wish you had known beforehand? Next time, we are going to talk about the service contract question, whether extended HVAC warranties and maintenance plans are worth the money or mostly a way to turn a one-time sale into a recurring one. That one will save you some real money if you are thinking about signing up for a plan. If you have not subscribed yet, this is the kind of video we make here. Plain talk, no sales angle, just what actually works. We would be glad to have you. Take your time with this decision. A good system, properly installed, will serve you well for a long time. You have earned the right to get it right.